Welcome. The show is about to begin.
The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerfherder Chandler, Jim Kaiju Baker, and Christina Yojimbo Henry. You can continue. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
All right, we ready?
We know when we get to the end of this and we talk about next week, the following week, which is No Time to Die. What are we pairing it up with?
Okay, so I'm just gonna hate the whole week.
No, listen. Okay,
listen. I give you credit, Tina. I give you total credit that you're even on board with this James Bond because you have thrown it out there.
But here, wait a second. Now we're in. All right. So let's.
We're already talking about next week.
Sorry.
Let's record this for posterity. Now, if you go into this, Christina, thinking that you're gonna hate it, you're gonna hate it. So have an open mind. You know, if you sit down, if you sit and sigh in the movie theater, like, I can't believe I'm here. If this was Citizen Kane, you would hate it. You're still going to hate it.
No, I know. I have an open mind. I'm going to go see it. This is just really not my
I understand. Yeah. I understand.
And it's very hard. It's hard for me to overcome my historical feelings about this franchise.
But I think that they've tried their best, especially with the Craigs.
I'll go see it. I'm going to say up front, it already seems super long, but okay.
Yeah, no,
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah, no, I think we all groaned when we saw that.
Now, obviously, we are talking about No Time to Die, and we're covering this next week. The reason we're not bringing this to you this week is because the film is close to 3 hours long, and none of us had time to watch it, much less die. So
I may die after I watch
it. So we're giving the entire world their time to watch this movie before we present our feelings on it to you. We're going to give you a week for everybody to go out and see it, come back and listen to us next week, and we will give you our thoughts on No Time to Die.
So wow, you don't even have to sit through this episode to find out what we're doing the following week.
What we're doing next week, yeah.
But I'm going to see it with an open mind. I mean, I'm paying for a movie ticket, so,
kudos.
I'm ready.
All for the team, right?
Here I am. Entertain me.
Oh no. And on that note,
and just remember that Christopher Nolan and all these filmmakers of today that have films in their canon that you do admire are very much influenced by the Bond series. So there is worth to it out there in the world. There are footprints that it leaves that are positive.
I'm not saying that there's not. It's just not for me.
And that is completely, I accept that.
Yeah, I'm not at all saying like that this is not a series that doesn't have value for people or that it's not emotionally important to people and, all that of course, I would never say that. It is just like, this is not something that I would choose. So, but this is a sign of how much we love each other, right?
That is true. And we can have therapy on. I will say that I've been touting Tigers Are Not Afraid.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It is, of course, it is.
And even Candyland. They should make a horror Candyland, by the way. Candyman. To a couple different people, they were asking my opinion, and I don't know why, but they do. So. Yeah.
But we've already hijacked the conversation this week. What we are actually talking about is Prisoners of the Ghostland.
Wait, the latest. What is this?
The latest Nicolas Cage feature.
Next week he'll have something new out.
Yeah, he will. Does
he literally come out with like a movie every 2 weeks?
He's got a few in 2021 already.
I know. We missed Pig. We missed the opportunity.
You know what? And I've heard, much like this one, I guess you either love it or you absolutely hate it. But I think that's
I mean, we did the Nicolas Cage feature earlier this year. We talked about
Mandy.
Color Out of Space and Mandy. And
Yeah.
like, I love Mandy, and that's a movie that just sort of seeps into me the more I think about it. And Jeff hated Mandy.
No, that was
So,
way outside my comfort zone on that one.
They like,
and we're skirting to town on this one as well. I hate to tell you.
Nicolas Cage makes these movies that are so idiosyncratic, and it's not just his performance. It's like he goes out and chooses to work with directors and writers.
He does.
Yeah,
he does.
you know what? And Jim said I applaud him, and I guess yes, it's not just a paycheck to this guy.
Yeah,
like he loves his craft. I just watched Willy's Wonderland, which is also on Amazon. And he doesn't even have a line of dialogue.
And he's been criticized by other actors. I remember famously Sean Penn threw some shade at him at one point, like questioning his choices. I wouldn't agree with that at all.
Yeah.
I think that he goes out and he wants to work with people who are interesting, who have an interesting vision. You're never going to get what you expect from a Nicolas Cage film. Like, you're just not.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, it's not just his performance, it's the kind of people that he chooses to work with.
That he surrounds himself with. Yeah. And this is, I think Gonzo is something that's almost attached to his name permanently now.
I was going to say,
these choices.
It's going to be a challenge. Let's try to get through this episode without saying that word again. I don't know if we can. Gonzo.
Well, we are going to be talking about Disney Muppets Haunted House at some point. So Gonzo will come up. Not in this episode.
So we don't have to go into every aspect of the plot, but just to give a plot overview of this film. So, okay, here's the thing. At different points, I'm just going to say this up front. This film reminded me of Return to Oz, of Brazil, of
okay, all right.
Of The Road Warrior, which is the most obvious. Of The Good, the Bad, the Weird, which I actually thought the second time I watched it, I was like, we should have paired The Good, the Bad, the Weird with this film. It would have been perfect. Of Kung Fu Hustle, but mostly of Straight to Hell, the Alex Cox classic.
I don't. Yeah, that one I don't even recognize. I don't know that.
This movie reminded me so much of Straight to Hell. Before we try to get into the plot and the specifics, to me, this is almost not a movie. It's like a beautiful contemporary
art house is a it is someone's student film.
It is,
but it's gorgeous to look at.
It's unbelievably beautiful. The sets. Yeah,
I agree with that wholeheartedly. The cinematography, the costumes, the set designs.
So beautiful. But there's, as far as plot, like, there's a loose plot where Nicolas Cage.
Loose is a great word to use.
Nicolas Cage's character is a prisoner who, he's been a robber, he's been a killer, he's done various bad things in his life. He's sent as an opportunity to redeem himself. He's sent to find this man, the governor's niece, who has gone missing. She's actually run away from him. But
he describes her as his granddaughter.
I'm sorry,
correct?
his granddaughter.
Yeah, I think they're all his granddaughters.
Sorry, his granddaughter.
His adopted granddaughter. Right. I might add.
It's, by the way, it's really gross because it was like, "Come sit on my lap."
Yeah, no, there's a.
So yes, there's a harem, and these girls are all his granddaughters, and they consider themselves sisters. Even though it's not a familial thing.
And 3 of them have escaped, and he wants one of them back specifically. And so he sends Nicolas Cage to find this person, Bernice, and he gives him this leather suit where it will explode in 5 days if he doesn't bring Bernice back. So right up front, you're like, this is like just the
Escape
whole concept.
Right.
So wacky. And the suit has specific
detonation points.
Points. Okay.
2 on the wrist, 2 on the nut sacks, which is just it's like his character actually says, really.
And then 2 on his neck.
On the neck. Yep.
So, and the different points can go off if he thinks certain thoughts. So.
Or if it detects him abusing or a female. It's like, how do you know if I'm grabbing a man or a woman? It's a door on this.
That the 2 films that I got when watching this were, one, Hell Comes to Frogtown,
which you talked about before. We never actually discussed this.
Just because of the whole setup. You know, similar to the Road Warrior kind of apocalyptic background, and Clockwork Orange because of the suit aspect.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just a film that has like you can sort of see all these different influences, but again, like it just opens. It's this very beautiful opening where there's this white room and all these people wearing these really bright colors, and there's this beautiful beautiful little boy with the cutest smile you ever saw trying to get gumballs out of a machine, and Nicolas Cage's character, who's known as Hero, and Nick Cassavetes' character, who's known as Psycho, come in to rob this bank. And you will see this scene more than once throughout the film.
Editing on this is all over the place. The story structure is all over the place on this thing.
Yeah, it makes you question about the chronology of events.
Correct. Yeah, because they do cut back to that numerous times. Like you said, the kid does kind of play into it. But again, like you said, just this opening shot, it's 4K. It's beautifully lit. It's flawless. There's so much eye candy in this thing going on. It really is impressive.
And I want to say, I mean, I realized you guys didn't have the opportunity to see it on the big screen because it wasn't playing near you, but I was so glad I saw it on the big screen.
I can only imagine.
Not just to see it in that format, but also because it gave me the opportunity to really focus on the film.
Yeah.
And then I was able to watch it again at home and take notes about things that really caught my eye and all this.
Wow, look at you. You watched this twice.
I did.
I give you credit.
Because it really, because there are things that are sort of out of chronology, and there's a ton of background detail. There's all these kind of signs and symbols and things
there's a lot of you do find yourself not paying attention to the main action, especially early on when you're introduced to this character, and you do see all this LED lighting and signage going on in the background.
Yeah,
and there's this set piece of the center of the town with the clock.
It's very impressive.
Scaffolding,
but focus is not a strong point of the film, but at the same time,
to look at.
There's a lot to look at. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But there's the thing about this film is, if you're the kind of person who likes a nice linear story that's gonna make sense, no, this is not that. This is a film that's completely open to interpretation. And that's why I say it's like a contemporary art installation, because it's like when you go to a contemporary art exhibit and you see a painting that's like 3 splashes of paint on a canvas, and you're like, what does this mean? And you're standing there trying to make sense of it for yourself. That is very, very much the experience of this film.
Yes.
And I think that this movie is about decay, about despair, about regret, and about redemption. And that means different things to different characters. The sets are so beautiful, and in so many ways really exemplify the emotional state of the characters, especially in the Ghostland. The Ghostland set has all these different elements to it. So the Ghostland, I think it's not physically far from Samurai Town, but it is psychologically far.
Right.
Yeah.
So this
is questionable.
Now, this is an apocalyptic background, because we're given, after we see the events that happen with Nicolas Cage's character, Hero himself, the bank robbery, the flashback, and the boy and the other bystanders that are killed, you get a backstory of why that there's this apocalyptic background. And it's because a nuclear waste transport collided with a prison bus that actually has Nicolas Cage's partner that killed all those people on it. So in a roundabout way, he is somewhat responsible for not only the deaths, but this world. So there's this horrific nuclear accident, which causes the apocalyptic background that we see in Ghost Town, and to a lesser extent in Samurai Town, which is affected, but it's not as, Wild West, shall we put it, as Ghost Town is.
Well, the interesting thing in Ghostland is that there are all of these kind of little cults of people that have sprung up, right? So like you have the people who are literally trying to stop time. This is the most Terry Gilliam thing in the movie.
Yeah,
Like
couldn't they just take the battery out?
where they're holding a rope, like they're holding back time, right? Yeah. And it like obviously this is a very obvious metaphor, but everybody in town is stuck, right? They can't move forward until the clock can move forward. And this is what I mean when I say like you watch it the second time and you start to see all these little things. Sing the song about the old man and the clock in Samurai Town and how nothing can move forward until he dies. And that, of course, is what actually happens in the film. Like nobody can move forward until the governor dies. But if, you know, the first time you hear it, you're like, why are they singing this song? Like it just seems like a random thing that happens. So
yeah, there's a running theme of time in this because Nicolas Cage is running against time because of the whole construct of the suit idea as well.
And then there's the doll maker and the living dolls, and he says he's protecting them, right? He's trying to save them. He's trying to preserve them. There's the prophet and her Greek chorus, which actually I love. Whenever she speaks, they're behind her, you know, responding to what she's saying. There's Enoch, the storyteller, and his little diorama, you know, that opens and closes. The people who listen to him. There's the rat man and the scavengers
rat man.
So there's all of these kind of different elements in Ghostland, all these, like I said, all of these little cults, which are just people who are trying to come to grips with the fact that like they're being irradiated on a daily basis.
Yeah, and some more so than others. Yeah, I agree. It's like this myriad of ideas that kind of, it's like a potpourri thrown into the mix here, and there's so many just stark, really memorable visuals of all these different characters that populate the Ghostland, especially, as you said, the doll maker and all of his girls that are covered in mannequin parts, which is very Tourist Trap-esque. I was getting PTSD watching that, like thinking back to Tourist Trap, and they're all catatonic for some reason. The ones that are they're like preserved almost, you know, separated from the tragedy of the events around them. Bernice has to be woken up by Hero when he strips away the mannequin parts.
And all of this action, if you want to call it action, but the main storyline is sort of interspersed with Hero's dreams and memories. But I think the interesting thing is there's sometimes this sense of shared memory, because there's this scene where Hero and Bernice are both sort of out cold on the road, and Hero is remembering the day that he robbed the bank. And the interesting thing about that is like he sees people in his memory that he had not met before, like the prophet from Ghostland suddenly appears in his memory, and Yasujiro, who suddenly appears in his memory. And then the memory transitions from his memory to Bernice's memory of this incident. So there's almost this sense that they've shared memory.
Yeah.
And they have shared this experience of each other, because then when he wakes up, he's weeping and he's saying, it's my fault that this happened to you, you know. And then their relationship shifts at that point, because she now sees him in like a more heroic light because he wants to atone. It's very interesting how it happens, because they have a very antagonistic relationship at first, because he's trying to drag her back.
So she ran away. She doesn't want to go back.
To a place she doesn't want to be.
He's just employed by the governor to bring her back.
And you get the sense, because firstly, the governor is played by Bill Moseley. Yes. Who you're completely, you know, already on the fence. No, not even on the fence. You're off the fence, because you know this guy is from House of a Thousand Corpses and all those movies, and he is an insipid, disgusting, depraved character in those. So you know he can't be playing a good guy, regardless. And you get the clue in that Bernice's sister is driven crazy by the events of Samurai. So she's insane, babbling to herself, and pleads with Hero, you can't bring her back. This guy is the devil.
Is that Susie?
Yeah,
yep,
Susie.
that is Susie. That is Susie.
Yeah.
And I love, you know, it reminded me of Goonies, when just talking about the really out there aspects of this and dealing with Nicolas Cage. He refuses the sports car at first, a very cool hero sports car.
What is up with this scene, by the way? What is
and
up
he
with
gets
this
on
scene?
the little bike. It's like, it's like Josh Brolin in Goonies.
Yes, riding the bike. You're right. But so here's the thing: was the director is Japanese, correct?
Yeah, Shion Sono.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm watching this, and I'm like, maybe I'm just missing something culturally. The significance of some of this stuff that's being thrown at me, because like there was a lot of this I just didn't get what was going on. I really did. I don't know what the
And like I said,
significance,
I don't know that you're necessarily supposed to.
I think
And
that's the point of it.
And I think that, so like I said, certainly the first time you're just sort of, because I watched it twice, so I feel like I had a different experience.
And you're bombarded with your senses are assaulted with this because it really is beautiful. There's so much information. It's all style and no substance, but it's like cotton candy.
But I don't know that that's true, because I do think, like I said, there's sort of this underlayer of regret that sort of plays through.
But again, me just watching it once and just taking it at face value and not really digging deep.
And I think your first sense is that it's Hiro, right, who's feeling the regret. He feels regret for what he's done. He wants to atone. He keeps seeing the boy with the gumballs. But that, I think, is not even the saddest character. The saddest character is Yasujiro.
Yes. Yeah. Yasujiro and Ratman were my two favorite characters. And Yasujiro, I think, had a better storyline that they didn't follow.
And Tak Sakaguchi does this incredible job of conveying this whole emotional life of this character, and he never says a word.
Yes, yeah, he's fantastic in this, and the fact that he gets killed by Hiro pisses me off. It made me not like Hiro at all. Because I agree. This that really set me off.
Yeah, that didn't make sense to me.
Because you find out that the whole reason he's working for the governor is because his sister is one of these concubines.
At the end they were fighting towards the same goal before they turn on each other.
So why? Right, it made no sense for them to compete against each other.
I had this idea that Yasujiro was getting vengeance on Hiro for the deaths in the bank. And that is why because ultimately he considers him a bad guy, but it doesn't make sense that Hiro would be able to kill him. That was
I did not like it. Yeah.
I was like, Yasujiro would not be killed by Hiro, that just wouldn't happen. But I love the scene where he gives Stella the rose before he kills her. It's such a little
but you saw that graphic coming a mile away. All you're gonna see is the rose drop with some blood. And it's it's setting that up.
But he gives her this little moment of happiness. It's
correct.
Sweet, where he's just like,
sorry, I have to do this.
Yeah, like he's trying to give her this thing. He's not just trying to take her life. He's trying to give her something in that moment.
A little semblance of
and I do feel like his character really embodies like kind of the regret at the heart of this movie in a lot of ways. But yeah, there's all of and again, sort of the second time around, you sort of see all these things which are laid out.
Right. But even when you bring back in Psycho, because the whole idea is when they escape from Samurai Town, you magically are transported to this Ghostland, and it's protected by these what looks like zombie mutants.
But they're
who you find out later. Right, they're ghosts. They come and go or whatever. And the lead guy is Psycho, who's all radiated and mutated. And that's where you kind of get the regret when Hiro confronts him and realizes that it was, that's the catalyst where he realizes that, he flashes back to the story and he's like, holy crap, you were on that prison bus. We caused all of this.
And this is why the girls are all made up by the doll maker as mannequins to be protected from the ghost, as he says. And it's a very nice plot device that ties in with the suit as well, because as we know from the governor, Bernice has to speak her name into the suit to stop it, because there's a number of different time detonators that are built into the suit. One of them being within a day or 2 days, Bernice has to speak her name into the suit to stop something from exploding. on it. So she can't speak. She's lost her voice because she's been taken and made into a mannequin by the doll maker. So Hero has to get her to speak before he blows up. Again, the time aspect coming into it. But these themes run through time, regret, what have you. But I really would like to talk about the testicle detonator.
Yeah, let's go.
See, now you just
hold on. That's the white elephant in the room because
So you didn't want to say the word gonzo, but this is the gonzo part of this movie.
Yes.
This was a moment in the theater where my son and I turned to look at each other and we were like, what?
Yeah.
What just happened?
Yeah. Because apparently he was...
Because they follow through on the promise of the testicle detonator. Just let me put it that way, because this is built into the suit for obvious reasons. So the Nicolas Cage does not have any impure thoughts.
Well, the granddaughter's pure, right? He doesn't want her soiled. As
he's stripping away the mannequin parts, I guess he gets a little randy somewhere in the back of his mind, and he sets off the detonator. He can't shut it down, and it blows very graphically, I might add.
Yeah, because he had to show us the part. But you would have bled out. I'm sorry, you can't lose a testicle and just walk off on your day.
There's a little bit of magic in this universe.
There's a lot of magic.
In fact, my husband remains convinced that none of it actually happened, and that it was all...
Don't even go there. I didn't pay for it. I never watched it. I never paid for it. It doesn't exist.
Apparently, when he read the script, Nicolas Cage said this was the wildest movie.
which is
they're slapping that all over the banner.
That is saying something. Saying something.
And I read an interview with him, and the interviewer said, "Okay, so what's your second wildest?" And he said, "Wild at Heart." And I think that if you think of this, this is no crazier than a David Lynch film. I mean, this is no crazier than like an Eraserhead, or, Well,
you mentioned Gillian before too.
Yeah, or as opaque as any like of these Western directors who do these really like dreamlike metaphorical.
Well, that's what I was saying before. Because it's a foreign director, am I just missing some of these connections or these significant meanings behind some of the stuff that I'm watching unfold? You're talking about the prophet, and you're talking about the oracle with the basically a choir behind them. These people are singing everything. And again, it's beautiful to look at. Absolutely gorgeous to look at. But you really walk away going, what did I just watch?
But I definitely think that like if David Lynch had made this exact same movie, every single critic in the US would be saying this is the most brilliant film ever made. Don't say it's not true. I mean, just think about the kind of stuff that Lynch makes. There's a very straight line between like, especially something like Eraserhead, and this movie. I'm
going to tell you, I don't remember liking that at all. So.
But the regret aspect.
I'm not a movie critic. Oh wait, I play one on this show. I play a movie critic.
But really, the regret aspect really comes to the fore after the testicle detonation, because
I'd be rethinking everything as well.
Not only is he regretting one of his lost pair, but there's this allows for another one of these flashbacks where it's revealed that Bernice, as a little girl, was involved in the skirmish that takes place after the bank robbery. So not only is he somewhat indirectly responsible for the apocalypse, but he's also more directly responsible for Bernice being taken by the governor.
Yeah. That's what I mean when that
I was going to say, this is exactly what you were saying, the shared memory thing that plays into this.
Because he runs past her on the street, and then you see it from Bernice's point of view, where you see the governor's hand, that red gloved hand, coming down
and she's shot in the leg, and he sees in the present day, he sees the wound on her leg. And
there's just so many things to see and look at in that flashback. There's this great sign over the town that says, "Citizens, pay your taxes or die like a dog."
Yeah, I couldn't figure out what the last word was there, but yeah.
And then there's a like a little handwritten sign on one of the buildings that says something to the effect of like, I didn't pay my taxes, should I die? You know, it's almost like there's like this conversation even
it looked like there was
on
a wanted poster for Cowboy Bebop in there at one point too.
there. I definitely did see, yes, there was Lupin.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. Yeah, I'm not that.
There's like all these
entrenched in
there's all these little things in the background. You know, you're just kind of like, you know, there's just like so much stuff to look at.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, it's eye candy. It is really it's much to look at.
There's this great thing again where you like really notice it if you watch it the second time, if you have that that desire,
fortitude,
that desire to watch it the second time. The Susie is always taking her little robot and she's shooting people in town.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. She's acting out what she wants to do, right? Because all of these people are complicit in her captivity, you know. So like at the very end of the film, she breaks and she like runs to a minigun and starts shooting all these people in the town.
That was much. Yeah. Wow.
She saves the day in a
she does. Guns them all down.
Nicolas Cage describes his acting style. This is his description as Western kabuki. And I think that is a fair description. And every English speaking actor in this film is playing their character very broadly. Like Nick Cassavetes as Psycho, Bill Moseley as the governor. They're all playing like these really broad,
like you said, you know,
and just going back to the Yasujiro fight with Hiro at the end, was an odd choice to me that Psycho ends up standing with Cage and helping him, you know, conjuring the nuclear vision. I was expecting that to be the final showdown. That was where the payoff would
because that was what splintered them to begin with. Is that, you know, Psycho ended up.
So that's why it was just very confusing. Like, why is he fighting Yasujiro? You know, that the final showdown, like the catharsism could have been in his fighting
confrontation
Psycho.
With Psycho. Yeah.
But again, like the thing with Psycho ends up not being confrontation because he says to Psycho, like, I need your help. Can you help me? And Psycho says it's time for all of us to be free because he's a ghost and he's trapped in this loop.
Trapped in this,
and he doesn't want to be in this loop anymore. You know, he wants like his soul to be released from like this thing that's tying it. And that of course is true for everybody in this film is trapped in one way or another. Either they're physically trapped like the girls in Samurai Town, or they're mentally trapped like the people in Ghostland. You know, and there's just, you know, this sense that like there needs to be something, and that something is the death of the governor, and that is one of the most satisfying things
not as much as the guy with the Crystal Gale hair that gets gunned down.
Crystal Gale.
I was waiting for that, and I was thankful that it happened.
There you go. It is very ambitious and absurd at the same time.
And open to interpretation.
Yeah, apparently.
And I think that if you are the kind of person, like I said, who likes David Lynch movies, or, you know, you like contemporary art, you want to like things to be open to interpretation, and I'll tell you that, I think it's pretty obvious. I loved this, and my whole family loved this. We all walked out of the theater like, you could just, you know, we were all just like, that was not what we expected.
Were there other people in the theater, by the way?
Oh, yeah. There were quite a few people.
Oh, come on. Nicolas Cage, music box. That is.
You're singing my song.
That's right. Like, that's why, that's, you know, like why the music box exists for people like us. But it would just, I think too, in so many ways, it just wasn't what I expected. You know, I went into it thinking it was going to be.
I think you'd be disappointed if a Nicolas Cage movie was what you expected.
Yeah, I don't know what expectations there were. I mean, if you see this trailer, you pretty much realize it's going to be out there.
But the trailer sort of makes it look like it's sort of action packed and violent, and
they do. They do.
It is violent, but it's not the way you think it
No.
is. And like I said,
Yeah.
there's so many like contemplative moments, and there's all this sort of beautiful stuff going on in the background, that sort of ugly beautiful, you know, the camera will just pan past something like the family with all the masks on sitting in the room,
up on the, yep.
and the picture of the nuclear explosion is behind them, and you know, there's just all of these things you're trying to see. You know, you're trying to see all these things in the background.
The critics were divided, I think, as we are going to be once we give buckets. But I read this guy must have been so pleased with himself, this reviewer, after he wrote this line. Rotten Tomatoes, it didn't even give his name, but it's just like a review, a generic review from Rotten Tomatoes. Viewers in the mood for a deliriously gonzo genre mashup featuring an explosive performance from Nicolas Cage, comma, just might have a ball.
Oh! That's my headline for this week's graphic.
And I'm sure he was like, and drop the mic after he wrote that.
Oh,
how long did he spend crafting that?
Oh, I'm sure way too long, you know. And then he just sits there waiting for people to.
But then, on the other hand, RogerEbert.com, somebody from that site, taxing, drawn out, and plainly boring is the review.
Yeah, it's a tough movie to categorize. It's a tough movie to sell. Although Christina's done a pretty good job.
Yeah, you think
so?
so?
Well, no, I think I mean, you've seen it twice, so apparently you did like it. You paid for it twice.
But this is the kind of thing, when we were talking about Mandy, I loved Mandy too. This is in my wheelhouse. I like things like this.
That's fair. Next week when we're talking Bond and Jim and I are lauding it, and you'll be like,
no. Mandy, I think, is in another category by itself.
Oh, that was horrible.
I would disagree. I would disagree with Cage, as this is the wildest film he's ever made. I would nominate Mandy for that, and I loved Mandy. I really did. I really liked it.
So I think that, you know, I'm just the kind of person who I love a film that like makes me go into it and think and
I mean, you brought up before, which is, you know, I like things open-ended that make me, you know, a lot of people who go to the movies.
I write books like that.
Right, yeah. And I'm sure there are people who hate you for that. Who'd be like, why aren't you giving me answers? What happened to Red when she walked into the door? Was Grandma home? No. But that's the sequel coming out, and it's Tori Spellman gonna play her. Spelling. I forgot her name.
You know, but yeah,
I stepped on my own joke.
This is just the kind of thing that I like. So yes, this is going to be up there for me. I'm sensing less buckets from you too.
Yeah, well, you know, it took it once he put on that football helmet too. He looks just like Aaron Rodgers. And that knocked it down a point for me. A whole bucket came off.
Well, that allows the stuntman to step in, right, with the football helmet.
Well, but I would assume at this day that Cage probably does 3/4 of his own stunts.
He doesn't, though.
He doesn't.
I actually, because I watched a little featurette about this, and Taxa Kikuchi, who plays Yasujiro, was the stunt coordinator. He's a really well-known.
Yeah, I was gonna say this guy he's got a big name for himself as far as the stunt world and choreography and whatnot.
He was an underground like martial artist fighter before he got into movies, so he's completely legit. He did the stunt coordination, and during the interview, Nicolas Cage talked about his stuntman working with Tak. He does some things, you know, that because obviously you want some shots of him like, you know, full body or
I mean, but
like that. But he did talk about his his stuntman and the work that his stuntman did, and how they tried really hard to match his style. And he said that,
well, I will say it's pretty seamless. And when we start talking about Kate, it's very obvious where the stuntman or the stunt woman or the stunt person steps in on some of this stuff. But in this case, I did not see. It wasn't like I said, oh, there's a stuntman. You know, it wasn't like a Spaceballs moment. You dummy, you caught their stunt doubles.
That wasn't the case for me, because it's like, why put on the helmet unless you're going to have the stunt guy step in?
It was just a silly visual. Yes, I don't know.
Well, and let me tell you, I think this movie has the most production logos that I've ever seen at the beginning of a movie.
At the beginning, there was a lot of people ponying up. It's like, all right, I want $12 from you. I want $20 from you.
So what kind of buckets? Let's cut to the chase here. What kind of buckets would we give?
Yeah.
You guys go first.
I'm gonna go. I got to give it
You
at least
hated
a
it.
solid. No, I give it a solid 2 for just the visuals of it all. And again, maybe it will go up if I watch it again, because you did bring some compelling. Again, I'm looking at this. I'm watching this, and I'm like, I'm missing. There's a cultural miss here that I'm not picking up on. That some of the significance of the visuals and what I'm being presented. But I give it 2.
Okay.
Well, I like the ideas that they're going for here, and I love the visual of Cage on the little bike, on the pink little bike.
Which is, it makes no sense.
I think the suit is a great device as well. That gives a bit of focus to the proceedings. I'm going to go 2 3/4.
Okay, so both of you a little higher than I expected. So for me, this is like a 4 1/4.
Wow.
Yes.
Fair.
Yeah.
So you had a ball watching this.
Yeah, I did. I did.
Wow. I mentioned earlier, has this guy ever turned down a part? And apparently he's turned down some pretty big name parts, including Aragorn from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that would have been completely weird. Like
Yeah.
you just can't see past
Oh.
like the Nicolas Cage-ness.
Well, I
of
guess the
him.
only reason he turned it down was because they were filming in New Zealand
Mhm.
and he didn't want to be away from his family that long. But he also turned down Neo from Matrix and Shrek.
Mm.
And he was supposed to be Joel from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which Jim Carrey took. So he doesn't just take everything that comes his way. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
I make jokes that this guy doesn't.
Again, I even find it more commendable now that he's turning down these huge roles and taking these small, really challenging ones. And it seems like that is his modus operandi.
His
So-
MO.
That
He
is
said that he wanted to work with Shion Sono and he wanted to film in Japan. His wife is actually Japanese. And he just really, wanted to be a part of it. And, the fact that he's in it just means it's going to get a wider audience than it probably would have.
True,
So,
true. Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah. And we didn't even bring up Sofia Boutella, who plays Bernice. I thought she did a fantastic job.
Yeah, she did.
I really liked her. Yeah. My wife's like, oh, that's that girl from The Mummy. I'm like, no, it's not. So
It is.
She does. It is?
It is.
My
She's the
wife was
mummy.
right.
She was
But
right.
that was like 20 years ago. This
The
girl
new
looks like
Mummy?
No, the Tom Cruise mummy.
Oh, I don't think my wife's ever seen that one. I think she was going back to the original Mummy.
You think
All right,
she
we'll
thought
give
she
her
was-
credit.
I never saw it either, but I remember her from the trailer. Like, that's the mummy.
My son
Wow.
watched it on the plane when we were going
I
somewhere.
did see that movie.
I did not see that.
That was the start of the whole potential dark universe Universal was trying to set up. Didn't go very far.
All right. Well, let's
So,
go to the
all right.
concession stand, get something, and we'll come back. Maybe they have some Boom Boom Lemon at the concession
You
stand.
beat me to it.
let's come back for Kate.
When it comes to candy, I'll bet every young man has a secret wish to own a candy store filled to his heart's desire with smooth, rich chocolates, creamy nougats, and chewy caramels. Well, whatever your favorite is, you'll find the Refreshment Center's a heaven of delectable candy just waiting for you to take your pick. So treat yourself to some delicious candy from the Refreshment Center. There's time between shows. Stop in right now.
Yum, yum. It's a meal in itself. Our all-meat super dog. Enjoy one now.
All right, we're back, and we're discussing as our second feature, again, another new feature this week.
Netflix. Yes. And I have to say that I probably never would have found this movie if you didn't bring it up, Jim. I actually had to dig on my Netflix.
I heard from someone or an article I read online that this was a good watch. And I watched it a couple of weeks ago and then presented it to the team here as a suggestion to pair. And Christina was like, that's perfect when she saw the synopsis.
The description.
Myself, I think it's a great choice.
There was a couple really spot on moments that I'm like, all right, this makes perfect sense.
Now, this stars as the title character, our favorite, Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
She is now and forever on my IMDb favorite people list.
Now, can you
Ramona
believe
Flowers.
I didn't know this? She just had a baby with Ewan McGregor.
What?
Yes, that
Does
was
he know
my
about this?
reaction.
A little baby Obi-Wan?
As far as I knew,
I
once
thought he was
I
married.
once I saw, yeah, not anymore.
What? Salacious. Wow.
Yeah, a little bit of gossip on TMI.
Wow, I did not know that whatsoever.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead plays an assassin that is working in Japan when we're introduced to her. We're introduced to Kate and her handler, played by Woody Harrelson, and his name is Varric. And the film opens in Osaka, and she has to take out a Yakuza boss. Easily takes out 2 bodyguards, positions herself, and she's looking down in this alleyway where this meet is going to happen between what turns out to be the Yakuza that she needs to assassinate and his brother. The cars pull up, the target gets out, and so does his daughter. And she stops, and for the first time in whatever the 12-year career, questions herself. We've been compromised. Doesn't matter. Take the shot. So she does. Right in front of his daughter, the guy is just eviscerated. The shot goes through his neck, and she's left there cradling her father in her arms. And this is the opening of Kate.
And if you don't know what's going to happen with her relationship with that girl from the opening scene, then you've never seen a movie.
Yes.
I'm going to say, yeah, there's really nothing surprising about the way that this unfolds, but I enjoyed it immensely. And I have been touting this movie to anybody I can talk to.
I agree. This has been done so many times.
Point of no return. Or maybe not Hannah, but
John Wick, right?
Wick.
Kill Bill.
It goes from John Wick straight into Aliens. You know, we're protecting Newt now, and you got a little kick-ass going on there as well. I enjoyed this. I thought this was fantastic. I had a lot of fun with it.
So this is just the opening scene. So you're kind of introduced to Kate's world and what her relationship with Woody Harrelson's Varric is. And you also get the little plot point that she loves Boom Boom Lemon, which is
it's a running joke, right?
A running joke. But
for Boom Boom
just tell me that the first time I saw this, when he handed that to her, right away, he's the bad guy and he's just poisoned her, because from looking at the description what the rest of the movie is about. Doesn't quite play out that way, but you're not far from the truth. They flash forward to months later. She's in Tokyo. They give her another assignment to kill the brother this time, who you already saw in this initial meeting. Before she does so, she loosens up, takes a guy back to her hotel room for some quick action before she goes off. Maybe it's like a warrior code.
I don't know. We were always told
she performs better afterwards. Who knows? But anyway, it's to her downfall. It's a mistake that she's, a little bit later, she's extremely angry at herself for making. This guy has been hired to poison her, and he does so with radiation. So she only has a couple of days to live. So she goes on a killing spree of vengeance to go after the one that she believes is the one that actually made the mark on her and set this guy up to poison her. So that is the rest of the film. She takes the girl hostage that we meet in the beginning,
Annie,
and they develop a relationship. So just like Jeff said, I really enjoyed this. It's a popcorn movie to the max. And I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead kills it. She kills a lot as Kate.
Yes, yeah. The action sequences I think are a lot of fun, and she's bruised, she's battered, she's down and out. This is like a Saturday night sushi and sake date movie. This is just mindless. You watch it for 90 minutes. No, Christina's shaking her head.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead is a very charming performer who deserves a significantly better movie.
We're gonna flop on this one.
This is like another Western film where Japanese culture is fetishized, but it's not respected in any way. I like these kinds of action movies when they sort of embrace the absurd, when the violence is like ridiculous.
It is the violence is, there's a lot of stabby facey stuff going on here.
But it's not, though. That's the thing. Like the action is very pedestrian. The fight scenes are nothing
would you say
new.
the same thing about the knife through the nose? Because that was like almost made me exclaim out loud. It was so difficult.
I mean, you guys
watch.
just haven't watched a lot of samurai movies. So.
I did think that we had some missed opportunities. We could have paired this up with Hard Boiled with the endless bullet clips, but she did have to reload a couple times.
But and I like it when like the humor is very sideways. But this is just a very conventional movie,
yes,
and I'll tell you that because it was so conventional, I started to slump physically about 45 minutes into this movie, and I could feel my son next to me doing the same thing. He actually slid off the couch onto the floor. You know that thing that teenagers do where they're just kind of like,
when they're just like on just one with the universe right now.
They're going all the way down. So he was just kind of like slumping all the way down. And then I started like checking my watch. I'm like, how long is this movie? How long?
Oh my God. See, like, I did that with the other one.
It's an hour and 45 minutes long. Why?
Yeah.
You see, it was the opposite for me because I was energized by this.
Yeah.
I
agree. I downloaded the Bandmaid album the minute she walked into that club.
Well, the Bandmaid, yes, I was excited about that. I was like, I've not heard of this particular band before, and let me just download that immediately. That was exciting. But
that is cool. But it is a by the numbers, like you said. There's plenty of other movies that have gone down this road that there's nothing new. Woody Harrelson's character is straight up Obadiah Stane from the Iron Man. He's the mentor who turns on her.
But I think watching this, it's predictable in every way, and I think it's Mary Elizabeth Winstead that made me want to watch this and see it through.
I absolutely agree.
And I love the scene, and you can tell when it's her and it's not her, but it's not like she's wearing a big outfit with a helmet on. It's kind of hard to hide.
Right.
But that scene in the Black Lizard when she is like going through all these guys and she's getting battered, it's not like she's Superman going through.
No, correct. She's
getting battered as much. Yeah. So she really,
she's spitting blood. She's puking. She's, it's.
And you see the effect. She's taking her teeth out so it's not a very glamorous role as she's.
No, and by the end of it, she is
of the poison
almost
going
unrecognizable.
Through.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it, and it was really good to see her in something that she was carrying.
Did you catch the Godzilla Hotel?
Of course, I did.
I was like, I need to go there.
And Jun Kunimura, who plays Kijima, is in Final Wars, and he's also in Shin Godzilla.
Yes. Yep.
And connection to our last film, Tak Sakaguchi is also in Final Wars.
So
does it really show anime on the side of buildings over there? Because
I would assume so. Yes,
I will move there.
Yeah, that's Tokyo Ghoul. They were showing in the
Is that what it was? Tokyo Ghoul? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So she's going through all these different underworld figures trying to get to the person that she thinks is responsible. And of course, we knew this from the get-go. Woody Harrelson is behind it all.
Not on
the poison. Not on the up and up. And you knew that smarmy guy that she sleeps with, he was going to come back to haunt her. But my favorite scene, when she's going after Renji and she goes to his apartment, because that's why she has Ani to begin with as collateral. She thinks that she's going to be worth something, which she realizes she's not.
She's not.
They want to take her out as well to destroy the bloodline of the Yakuza that is in charge. So she brings her to Renji's penthouse. And all that they find there is Renji's boyfriend, who you think is going to be a pushover. That is not the case.
But she just took out all these other guys, and somehow is getting.
But this guy, he deserves to. He is just like Superman. He's like the Terminator. You think, okay, he's the Japanese BTS member here. They're going to have no problems with him. But that is probably the standout scene.
Yeah, that kitchen fight scene was.
And the scissors in the face. And a little bit later on, she gets shot in the face. I was surprised by it, that I liked it as much as I can.
Like you said, it's not perfect anyway. It's definitely predictable, but I did enjoy it. And that's so
dead silence. Dead silence.
I mean, I don't want to be a super downer. I forgot large chunks of this movie 15 minutes after I watched it. I just thought it was so boring. And I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead is great. I loved her in Birds of Prey. She was actually one of the, because I wasn't that nuts about Birds of Prey. I thought she was great in that.
She was a standout in that, yeah.
I'd love to see her in this kind of part, but in a more interesting movie.
Derivative would be one of those words that I used to describe it, but I wouldn't call it boring. I thought it was riveting.
Yeah, no, there was definitely a lot of physical slumping, and I think too, but have you guys actually seen John Wick?
No.
Either of you?
No, this is part of the ongoing conversation.
No, I have.
We need to do the trilogy. Yeah. I have never seen more than 2 minutes.
We should do John Wick, because the thing that I love John Wick, but John Wick is it sort of embraces the absurd. It sort of embraces the ridiculousness of the concept, and takes the action
Take
to
it to the
that
next
level.
level. Yeah.
And that's why I like it, because it's not conventional, because it just sort of
So
like
this was just a little too pedestrian.
right.
This
so
was a
it's
little
like,
too.
so John Wick is like,
they
oh,
played it
this is
safe.
so ridiculous. Now, Gunpowder Milkshake, which is also on Netflix,
Yep.
has
Which I
a
have not watched.
completely similar plot in many ways, in the sense that she's an assassin. She was raised as an assassin since she was a child. She becomes friends with the daughter of the man she kills, blah, blah, blah. But I like Gunpowder Milkshake a lot better because it has this completely sideways humor. It has these absurd action sequences, and it has this sort of mythology that sort of builds behind the main character.
And there's milkshakes.
And there are, in fact, milkshakes. So, and it's a lot shorter too. So it's like it sort of knows what it is, and it gets
in and gets out.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I think it was very hard for me too not to compare this to Gunpowder Milkshake, because I watched.
Well, like Jim just said, it is derivative of pretty much every one. You know, La Femme Nikita, and a lot of these other. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Did you guys watch Gunpowder Milkshake?
I've never seen it. I've not seen it.
No,
It's in
I have not.
in Netflix.
I did like the fact that the director, the Cedric Nicholas Troyan, he was an FX artist. I think this is directorial debut.
Yeah. His
so you're
his
talking
resume,
about a guy who,
his resume
Pirates,
is really impressive.
Pirates of the Caribbean, The Ring, Snow White, and Huntsman. I enjoyed it, and I'm not gonna
And I'm glad
apologize
that you
for it.
guys did.
Yeah,
it just was not enough for me.
Even if we give you Boom Boom Lemons, I wouldn't do it for you.
No.
I think we can cut to the chase with the buckets on this. I agree. There's not a lot of meat to discuss here. It was just like a fun ride for me. A great revenge pot boiler.
Yep.
And it was satisfying in the end. I'll give it 3.5 buckets.
Oh, I went 4.5.
4.5. Wow.
I went 4.5.
You really liked it.
I really enjoyed it. And one of my favorite scenes, this is such a stupid, because there's some nice city shots, and there's this alley shot, and you just see the two characters walking off, and there's a cat in the foreground, and I'm sure it was just a random cat in the street, but someone went out of their way to add a cat noise, and I thought that was like someone just took advantage of the cat in the frame, and they're like, "Meow." The
Foley guy brought in his cat and
so that
squeezed it a little.
That was a half bucket for me.
So I think I'm pretty sure I missed that, or if I saw it, I blocked it.
You were probably slumping. You were slumping at the time. See, maybe it would have gone up a bucket.
Now, did you notice the Godzilla Hotel in the background in that one shot?
Yes, of course.
Okay, yes.
It was on our list to visit if we ever actually achieve our trip to Japan. So, I give this 2. So I think this is pretty funny that this.
Yes, so we have completely.
It's been flipped. Yes, the script has been flipped.
But that's fair. I mean,
I feel like Jeff was way down on the last movie. Jim was in the middle, and I was on top, and now Jim's still in the middle.
That's generally where I lie here, though.
You are,
it really is.
You're like.
It's like Jeff and I are always emotionally extreme in our responses.
This one really, like I said, anybody, I'm like, you got to watch this movie. So I enjoyed it.
Unless we're talking about Invisible Man. For some reason, that really triggered my emotional.
Yeah, you were so down on that movie.
And that was so funny because Jeff and I were totally
we were really up on it. Yeah. I really listen. Ebbs and flows. Is it a full moon now? Who knows? Sometimes these movies just hit you the right way or the wrong way. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong.
No, and that's
vice versa. It's
and that's never what we're going after here. It's just like this is your emotional response to something that you watched. Like that's how we present this podcast to the listener. Like you may think
go listen, right?
Something completely different from us.
Oh, we've heard from listeners who don't agree with us. But
yes, we have.
That's part of the fun. If we agreed every week, every movie we saw was just spectacular, then I think it would be a boring show.
Case in point, next week's episode.
This is going to be contentious.
You guys, I'm going to give it a try. I am.
That's all I ask. That's all I ask.
I'm going to give it a try.
I don't believe that at all.
I'm just scared of what you're going to pick for the second feature.
Oh, what is the name? What is the name of that, Jeff? I picked it and I don't even remember the title.
No Time to Die, and we are going to be pairing it up with Never Too Young to Die. Can you hear the eye rolling and head shaking?
This is
It's
on a
probably a good
level.
thing we're
This is
not
on a
on
level, I
Facebook.
think, of Prisoners of the Lost Universe. So we found this on Tubi, and I only found this because I was looking for a good name match
Die.
that Jeff could really use in his artwork for our episode.
Don't blame me. Go ahead.
But it was my doing, so I apologize for all of us because I doubt that any of us are going to like this. But this is like a Condor Man situation. This is kind of this could be fun, just tearing this movie apart.
Condor Man was, I mean, as bad as that movie was, I think it was probably one of our better episodes, and just the loathing that we all came together for.
So let me just say that this film is a starring vehicle for A, John Stamos, B, Vanity, and C, Gene Simmons. So we know what we're getting into. We know what we're getting into
right there. I probably can't even find a movie poster graphic for this. Interesting.
You're gonna have to do like a screenshot, like a still from the.
You know, I actually tried that last night on my phone because I watched, Prisoners of the Ghostland on my phone, but you can't take a screenshot of the actual movie playing. It just creates a black screen.
Well, the poster's really cool though.
Oh no, the poster graphic is gorgeous, but there was a couple really, back to the Prisoners of Ghostland. There was a lot of stuff, really nice stuff to look at, and some camera angles, and there's some wacky, especially toward the end when Cage is looking up to the sky. And I was just trying to capture one or two of those.
Oh, you were trying to capture like his expression.
Yeah. Like he's like just he's full on Cage. That's all. Let's go that way. We're not going to use the G word anymore. So it's been banned.
Except in the context
except coming up October 24th when we will be talking about Muppets Haunted Mansion. Do you know my Arsenic and Old Lace already came in at my library?
Yeah.
Not to hint, but we got other movies. We got a nice little solid schedule coming up.
Yes, we do.
So,
yes, we do.
And there we go. We got Thanksgiving. We got our Thanksgiving Monster Mash coming up as well.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Son of Kong just came in at my library.
Wow.
So I'm probably gonna have to renew that because it's.
I know, right? You're not gonna.
It came in too soon. Yeah, I was like, I wasn't
that's
expecting
Arsenic
this.
and Old Lace. I put it in yesterday, and it's like, oh, it's ready. It's like, wow.
Jim, do you have the Criterion Godzilla the Showa editions?
No, I don't. The main reason I don't have it yet is because they don't have Godzilla versus the Smog Monster.
Hedorah? You mean the guy that's on your shirt today?
The American International cut, the English dub.
Oh,
they only have the international cut, the dubbed version. So that's the version. And I was so excited when I saw this box set was coming out. Oh, they're going to have American International, which has not been available for years.
You're getting all.
Yeah, I'm getting animated. And I was very upset when I saw that they didn't have that cut. So I haven't gotten it yet. I have all these movies on DVD. So
yeah,
it's not like I'm at a loss.
So do I. But I did get the Blu-ray, the Criterion editions, because it's Criterion. Let's finish off this episode, and then I want to show you something.
we are. So this John Stamos movie, it's on Tubi.
It's on Tubi.
It's on Tubi. So theater and then Tubi.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
To be continued then.
Yes, it will.
All right, kids. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening.
Go check out these movies, and then you can tell us if we're right or wrong. Or we don't care, to be honest with you. It's open to interpretation, apparently.
That's right, it is.
That's right. It's a fevered dream. That's all I got to say. See you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everybody. If you liked the podcast you just heard, then please follow TMI on all of our social media outlets. First and foremost, email us at tmipodcast2018@gmail.com. That is tmipodcast2018@gmail.com.
And you can follow us on Twitter at TMI_podcast2018. Stop over, say hi, give us a compliment. We'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Make sure you follow us on Instagram as well, which is also TMI_podcast2018.
And of course, we are on Facebook, facebook.com/TMI Podcast 2018. And it should be noted, we also have a community page, so join the forum.
And if you like to watch YouTube, you can see us at TMI Podcast 2018, all one word. Look for the popcorn bucket.
Popcorn bucket. Or you could just go to our website, which has every link there, TMIConfessionalspodcast.com. And we'll see you at the concession stand.
We'll save some popcorn for you.
We used to also do this all the time, and it would drive my mom nuts. Doi! So stupid. I should call her up right now and just be like, Doi!
Just doy.
And then hang up on her.